Uh, on paper where the story's told, facts and truth, the legend grows. Lionheart's here with fire to spit. It's on paper with Anthony Smith.
With Anthony Smith. Welcome back to On Paper. I'm Kelly Murphy. More importantly, that is my co-host, former UFC light heavyweight, the ultimate girl dad himself, and obviously my better half, Anthony Lionheart Smith. Anthony, how you doing?
I'm good, Kelly. How are you? I seen on your Instagram you got your pool open.
Pool's open. It's blue. It opened blue this year, but we just haven't had the weather for it. Every time we open it, it's
it was
green.
blue?
Yeah, perfectly blue.
Oh, ours was, it looked like there was an alligator living in ours.
You're kidding.
It was awful. It was terrible.
We
It
were
took 2 weeks to get it clean.
There was a rip in the liner and the whole pool was drained. So there was no water in it. Pool was not ready to go until mid-July, and we opened it in May.
Oh, no.
And then last
How
year
much does a new liner cost?
Oh, it
That
was
can't
not
be
good.
cheap.
It was
Yeah, that
not
can't be
good.
cheap.
But again, our old liner was like very light at this point, so now it's like a deep blue. It's very pretty. It looks great.
Mhm.
Last year it was green for 5 weeks. They just could not get it blue. So this year they opened it. It's perfectly blue, and it hasn't gone over 60 degrees yet. So
Is it heated?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
of course.
Okay, just making sure. Yeah, my pool's 86 degrees, and it is blue now. But when they opened it, I was like, I'm never gonna swim in that thing ever again. Well, there has to be. It looks like a swamp. What is happening? Like that thing looks so gross. I was like, I don't care how clean they get it. I'm never getting in it again. But Thursday, so my wife, I used to always say like, oh my God, we should just go golfing together. Like excuse me, we tried for a long time to try to find like a hobby that both of us could do together. But, like most marriages, we don't like the same shit. So I would always say golf, and she would say, no, golf's too fucking boring. I can't stay focused that long. She got a wicked case of ADHD. So she just was never about it. So then I would golf and, whatever. And then, I don't know, randomly, she was like, I think I want to try to golf. I was like, yeah, okay. So we started golfing. She's 6 foot tall. So like she can use just my club. So we've been golfing out of one bag for like the last 3 weeks, just going like, I don't know, once a week, I guess 1 week we went twice in 1 week. But Thursday, before I left to go to the Apex for this weekend's fights, the night before, I guess Wednesday night, she said, hey, we should see if we can get a round of golf in before you fly out. I was like, well, I fucking fly out at like 1. And she was like, that's fine. Just get like a 7 a.m. tee time. Like, are you serious? Like, no, I'm not getting a 7 a.m. tee time. So then I double checked my flight. I actually didn't leave until like 2:30. So we got like got the kids off to school, got a 9 a.m. tee time golf. But that means I didn't mow my grass on my normal Thursday. So then it went all through the weekend. And I had the Amazon rainforest in my yard. So that was amazing. So I went yesterday, I mowed, and then I opened the pool and got the little net thing out, brushing it and vacuuming and, just doing dad shit all the way. That was my Sunday.
That's classic. So obviously you mentioned you traveled. Retirement was short-lived. You're back full force. You went to Montreal 2 weeks ago. You were in Vegas this last weekend. You are just working. How does it feel to really be back in the groove of things? We're back doing this podcast a few weeks in a row. You're back on Sirius. How does it feel?
It feels good. I had a couple weeks of just doing whatever the hell I wanted to do, which was fun. I did feel the whole time like, all right, I'm being a real serious piece of shit right now. Like, I was having a hard time making it till like 5 o'clock before I was ready to start having a drink. And I was sitting by the pool watching the kids, and it'd be like 3 o'clock. I'm like, man, I should have a beer. Like, no, you shouldn't, you piece of shit.
I will say Tuesday. The first time, like, I really got to talk to you because it was, like sporadic texts here and there, like since your fight. You were obviously coming back from a round of golf. And I was like, I've been nervous to reach out. I don't know if you're on your first nap of the day, your second nap of the day. God forbid I interrupt one of those two things. I was getting a little concerned. I can't lie.
I found it. There's fucking bunnies in the yard, and I haven't figured out where they're hiding. But there's a hole somewhere in the yard that they keep covering up, and there's like a couple spot. I just seen the bunny stick her head all the way in there with the little baby bunnies, and now she's sitting on it. I fucking found it. It's
I
right there.
saw a bunny on my lawn
Right
last
there.
week and started hysterically crying.
No, like,
They're so cute.
well, okay, so we're having this is the most random fucking
No, like, I
conversation ever.
don't know what would do.
There's a shit ton of like we're having our entire landscaping redone and they're rebuilding the waterfall in the
Mhm.
front. And so there's like a skid loader, there's huge rocks and boulders. They pulled all the rock out of like my whole fucking front of my house is messed up. And so like my kids have been so concerned, like maybe that's where the bunnies are. I'm like, I don't think so. And I found it. It's not where the bunnies are. So the bunnies are safe. But yes, I am back in the full groove of things. Um, I'm traveling like I think I'm on the road the next 7 straight weeks.
Well, the
Not
UFC
all for work.
schedule not all for work, but the
Yeah.
UFC schedule is starting to heat up again. Not the next card necessarily, but we can look past that and onto the pay-per-view in the beginning of June.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm in I'm in Atlantic City next weekend. I have one of my main guys here in the gym, one of my main teammates, and a guy that I've kind of taken under my wing. Blaine Richards is defending his CFFC title in Atlantic City over the weekend. My family's going to fly out. We're going to spend a couple days in AC. The next weekend, I'm going to be hunting in Canada um, for
Back to Canada.
for a handful of days, and then after that, I think I'm 3 out of 4 weekends in at UFC events. So UFC Atlanta, Newark,
Newark.
and then I believe International Fight Week, and then smashed in between there, my daughter has nationals for volleyball.
Are you working that Jamal Hill card and wherever the hell?
No, 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 no.
I
I'm
didn't
afraid.
know if they were sending your ass out there.
No, I'm afraid to even answer Jamal's phone calls because I'm afraid he's going to ask me to come out with him.
They're
Nope,
probably like, "Oh, Anthony can't do it.
no
We'll send
Baku.
Dean."
No, no, not doing it.
All right,
Not
before we look too
doing it.
far ahead, I do want to talk about the main event from Saturday night. Michael Morales, holy shit,
Yeah,
walked through Gilbert Burns, and we've seen Gilbert be finished before, but not in that fashion. Like, I don't even think Michael Morales broke a sweat. It was in the first round, and it was the best I've seen Gilbert Burns look just physically in quite a long time. So for Morales to get a TKO victory in that fashion, I was way impressed. What did you see there?
I seen a guy who improved really quickly and closed some really small holes in his game, but could have been potentially impactful uh, if he didn't make those adjustments specifically in this fight. Kind of when I'm doing my breakdown. And here's what's so fun about this job. I get to watch all this film. And every once in a while you get a guy like Michael Morales who improves so quickly at times. Not always every fight, because some of it's stylistic or style is based on the style. It's stylistically um, more impactful in some fights than others. But now I've worked 3 of his events, so I've been seeing him just grow as we go. And so, for example, I'm watching his last fight and his fight with God damn it, the Australian kid. What the hell's his name? It's gonna drive me crazy. Anyways, doesn't matter. But um, and then his 2 fights with they're mostly strikers, right? So he does this thing where he throws a big nasty right hand and he's stepping through on that shot, and then he's kind of striking from the backside a little bit, but not always. From time to time, maybe 50% of the time, there's another strike that comes from the backside after he switches. And none of the people that he's fighting have a really Jake Matthews, by the way, is his name. Like, Jake Matthews is an incredible jiu-jitsu guy, but he's not a standout wrestler. He's an Australian guy that's a striker with a black belt jiu-jitsu, but he's not like a high-level wrestler. So that does open up a lot of opportunities for guys that throw big, strong shots into takedowns. That really opens you up when you throw so hard that you have to step through to catch your balance. So he did throw a lot of off-balance shots in his last couple fights. He did it with Jake Matthews a lot. Jake Matthews clipped him a lot with like big left hooks or some overhands, and was able to, I wouldn't say push him at a bunch of times because he did control that fight, but it showed some opportunities for guys in other fights that maybe have a different skill set than Jake Matthews to take advantage of. And I really thought that Gilbert Burns could be that guy. I didn't know that if he would be, but if we kind of look at Gilbert's style, he's always been a club and sub type of game. big overhands, big wide punches at times, can throw down the pipe when he wants to. We've seen him really push Khamzat to the absolute limits in terms of his durability and his conditioning and just his mindset. So then I hear the things that Gilbert is saying all week that, you know, I let some of the popularity and the fame that I got from the Khamzat fight get to me, and the money is nice. And I'm very sympathetic to a lot of those things, because at times I've been in the same thing where it's not an ego thing, but you get distracted because there's so many other things going on, and there's all these opportunities and, you know, money making gigs, and sometimes you take your eye off the ball and you don't realize it until it's too late. So, but he was saying the right things. So I thought, like, if the Gilbert Burns showed up that fought Khamzat shows up, he can really make this a fight. Now, the problem with that is that Michael Morales closed a lot of those holes in between this fight and his last fight. He was very, very, and maybe some of it is, again, it's matchup dependent. Like, he knows he's in there with a very serious guy like Gilbert Burns, who's very dangerous, who's not going to let him get away with making any mistakes. If you do that versus Max Griffin or something, you can get away with some of the dumb shit because you're just better physically. You're a better athlete. You're faster. You're stronger. You hit harder. Like, you can get away with some of the dumb shit. So maybe he just really dialed in because he knew how dangerous Gilbert Burns is, but he didn't overthrow at all. He was super patient. He didn't rush anything. Even on the takedown, like, you know, we've talked about this guy being a freestyle national champ, or freestyle national champion wrestler. But almost like Justin Gaethje, he kind of just uses it defensively. He's not out there looking for takedowns. Gilbert Burns was able to get to some spots on him, and he dealt with it very, very quickly. He was very smart. He didn't leave himself open to any, you know, stupid shit. He got to the fence. He got up, fought the hands, turned around, was ready to fight again. So I'm more impressed. This is less about Gilbert. I don't think I have anything to really say about Gilbert. I think that he did everything he could in a lot of those positions. I think that, unfortunately, you know, Gilbert's 38 years old. He's got a lot of miles. He's got a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions at a super high level, even before he started fighting. And that clock starts ticking down. And I'm not saying that Gilbert Burns can't win fights. I just think that his days beating, like myself, the days beating the young up-and-comers that are really high-level guys that have a lot of, I don't know, a lot of potential, and these Michael Morales type of guys, these Jane Min Yang type of dudes, like, those days might be behind us. You know, like, out of 10 times, can we clip one and win? Probably. But, like, you know, these guys are similar in their skills and abilities, and, you know, they're physically younger, they're faster, their timing is better, their vision's better, the reaction time is better, and so if I was Gilbert, I'd keep my head held high. I think he just got beat by a younger, stronger, faster dude, and at this point, we're getting old, bro. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, I mean, but stemming off something you said, it's kind of similar to the conversation you had with Ayman Zahabi last week, going against a guy like Jose Aldo. He did look a little bit hesitant in there for the first 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm not saying Gilbert Burns has the aura that Jose Aldo has, but that's still, you know, on paper, Michael Morales' toughest opponent to date. And he
That's still
showed
Gilbert fucking Burns.
100%, 100%. And he still went in there and showed absolutely zero signs of hesitancy.
Yeah.
And it's even more impressive that he was able to close those gaps that you speak of against a guy like Gilbert Burns, because going into this fight,
think about this. He beat him in the first round, and I said that he was more patient and took his time.
Which is absolutely wild. And I was going into this fight, I thought Michael Morales was going to win, but I also wouldn't have been surprised if it was one of those, like, he level check moments as well. I just didn't know.
Because I can still see a world that exists where Gilbert throws a fucking overhand and kind of freezes him, and then gets in on a double leg, takes him down, passes his guard, takes his back, and chokes him. Like, that world still exists.
Of course it does.
They could fight today, and that might happen, but it didn't. And it's so impressive because of the respect I have for Gilbert Burns. Again, you know, Gilbert and Moicano and us are, you know, we're on the same platform. So again, you're being transparent. There's a lot of love between us all, but I would be saying this. I've said this about Gilbert Burns before we kind of worked together, and I just got a lot of respect for that guy and what he's capable of. So for Michael Morales to do something like that to someone that I have so much respect for in terms of their skill and their ability and their fighting, their fighting credibility, that guy's on his way to the fucking top. That kid's good. And his love for his mom. Oh my
How
God.
cute was that?
Oh my God. Like I found myself there like, fuck, I wish my mom was still around. Like, how goddamn cool. Like, they look just alike. Like, oh yeah, that's that guy's mom for sure. And she was there. I got to see their interaction, like in person. Like, man, he loves the fuck out of her, and she loves him. She's so proud of him. Like, just her looking around, like, that's my boy. Like, that's my son.
The like
Such a
shriek
heart.
that came out of her when he left the octagon and was
Yeah.
walking and found her.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why am I
Heartwarming
crying?
moment. Heartwarming moment. So like that's so cool. And again, maybe I'm getting old, but when Gilbert's walking, I'm out there and I'm getting as close as I can. It's like I keep feeling like when you like feel someone close to you but you don't look. I kept feeling someone like so close to me, and I was like, who? And I look down and it's Gilbert's son trying to like videotape Gilbert's walkout. But he can't get close because there's like an area where like only employees are allowed to go. And
Yeah.
So like he's trying to like get a good view. And I was like, go on, little homie. You with me.
His
You
kids
go right
are
over here.
so cute.
Yeah. So it was cool. His kid's out. He's got a cell phone out. And it was just, I don't know. There was a lot of like family heartwarming moments there. And I know it didn't end the way that Gilbert wanted it to, but I couldn't be happier for Gilbert. I know that sounds crazy, but he's got to be proud of himself. What a tough road to get back on, just to get back in there again after, a long time off, and he's had injuries, and, he had his kids there. And so just, I know it hurts right now for him, but like, just from the outside looking in, what a crazy, cool career he's had. And I'm sure he'll fight again and whatever, but in a cool moment for Michael Morales, like you got your mom there. He was a lot of people there for him for sure. Yeah, it's a good feeling to wake up, on a Monday morning. Like, I've been him, like he's ranked, but I was an unranked guy that beat the number 8 guy in the world and finished him in the first round. Like, you just on cloud 9 on top of the world, and he deserves it.
Well, it goes back to what you said. I think the fight
And his
says
fucking mom.
no. I mean,
Sorry, I keep cutting
highlight,
off.
no,
His fucking
absolute
mom.
highlight of the night.
How cool.
The fight says a lot more about Morales than it does Gilbert Burns, but
Yeah.
ultimately, when you look at Gilbert Burns' record, that is 4 losses in a row for him. But and again, I know 4 losses in a row is 4 losses in a row, but that just doesn't tell the whole story. It's been losses to the best of the best for Gilbert. 2 of his last 4 losses are against champions. I imagine this Michael Morales loss is going to age very, very well. And I think Morales could do what he did to Gilbert to a lot of people in this division. So it's unfortunate in a sport that revolves so much around wins and losses. His losses don't paint the entire picture. So where do you think he goes from here? What do you do with him?
I don't know. And I say this all the time. I'm never going to be the one to sit here and call for someone's retirement. It really just depends on what Gilbert wants to do.
What motivates him?
Yeah, I mean, he said he wants to stick around a long time. So, I mean, we'll see. But you're going to be delegated to tough fights. And here's the deal: this is a business. Gilbert is very popular. He's won lots of big fights. He's been in a lot of big situations. What does that tell you, just off the top of your head? Just because I'm going to break it down of why he's going to be in the position versus why someone else is in another position. So, what do those things tell you? Gilbert's paid. Gilbert demands a lot of money. What does that mean? It means there's no more easy fights. There's no more warm-ups. There's no more. It's the same situation I found myself in. When you work your way into a very large contract, you also work your way into a situation where you get no more fucking layups. There's no more bounce back fights. There's no more get your footing under you through tough time fights. It's why I got Vitor Petrino, because they're trying to figure out, is this kid good? Well, if we're going to pay the money, if Anthony's going to make that kind of money, then we're going to get something out of him. We're going to find out if this kid is good. All right, we'll throw him over here. And then boom, you find yourself in another really tough fight. That's the reward for winning big fights at the highest level. Tougher fights.
It's funny you say that. There are a lot of tough fights at welterweight because it's
Mm-hmm.
probably the division with the largest abundance of contenders right now, the most parity by far. This stems off the conversation we had last week about you said, you have no problem seeing Islam Makhachev jump up, take on Jack Della Maddalena. I
Mm-hmm.
said I didn't love it because there's fights for Islam at 55 and there's an abundance of fights for Jack at 170 and even more so now. Not saying that Michael Morales has worked his way into a title shot. I absolutely have not said that, but I do think he is rising up the ranks of this division very quickly and could find himself there very quickly.
Let's
And
hope not.
now you have a problem. Let's hope not. Why?
Because I don't want to fast track him. That's what we do a lot of times. Like, think Volkan Ozdemir, I think, had the ability to really, really stand out in the division for a long time. But what happened was he had a couple quick knockouts. He looked really good, and then they threw him in there with DC. And he's floundered a bit since then. I don't want to say floundered. That sounds disrespectful. He's alternated wins and losses. He'll win a couple, lose one, win a couple,
Sure.
like kind of going back and forth. And he's kind of been delegated to some of these European shows and some of the shows in the Middle East. But I only bring that to you because he got a little hot and then they threw him right in there.
Yep.
And I would hate for that to happen to a guy like Michael Morales at 25 years old.
He's younger than me.
He's 25 years old. He's way smarter too. I'm just kidding. He probably's got a girlfriend too, so he's probably already found love.
I mean, he's got me beat there, but
I'm just
people
joking.
have at this rate.
I'm sure he has to. That's a good-looking dude.
He is. He definitely is.
But look how quickly he's getting better. I mean, like I just broke down and rambled on about forever. Like he closed some really impactful holes in his game in a very short amount of time. And so we haven't even seen his jiu-jitsu game. We haven't even seen what his bottom game looks like. We haven't seen how dominant he could be on top. Like his mom's a judo like Olympian or like world competitor, like high level. So he's got at least he's got part of that in his DNA. Like that's there.
Yep.
So I don't know. I would like to see him slow down a little bit. Like a fight with Prates would be super cool. And I know that typically the UFC doesn't do winners versus losers. It's usually losers versus losers, winners versus winners. But I think that it's a.
I mean, not necessarily if it means working your way up in that way.
Yeah, I think it's a win-win situation. And I know, again, people are going to argue about the rankings and where they're at. But here's the deal. If you're the UFC, it's a win-win. Prates already took a loss. So this is a stylistic dream for anybody that wants to watch it. If you put Prates versus Michael Morales, you have Prates, who was in a pretty close fight, like maybe not close, but it was fairly competitive with Ian Garry. So he's right there at the top of the division in terms of where he stands. It's a stylistic dream for anybody who wants to watch. And it also still continues to give Michael Morales time to get better. And maybe some of those other places, like he's obviously a great wrestler, but how he can continue to work on his jiu-jitsu, he continue to work on his top game, and keep working his wrestling stuff. So I think if Prates wins, then he's back on the horse, and now you continue to promote him as one of these young up and comers who just had a hiccup moment and he's back, or Morales keeps rolling. Either way, it's a win-win. No matter what, you come out with a star. So I like that matchup better instead of being like, okay, because when I was on the post show, I was like, fuck it, let's just give him the winner of the Buckley Usman fight.
Yeah.
But like the more I think about it, well, like worst case scenario, Buckley wins and then he beats Buckley. Because now what he's got is what he's got. Now you got to run what you brung because you don't have any time to get better, because now you only got to continue to work on your strengths because the people above you, now you're in title contention. So I think that's too fast of a track, because here's the problem. If Buckley wins, he 100% could beat Buckley. He could right now.
Yep.
Could he consistently beat the guys at the top of the division right now? I don't know that. I don't know. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think he'd have problems with a guy like Sean Brady, but
For sure.
as do most. But
Mhm.
what I do think is that him being in a division with a wealth of contenders like 170 has right now,
It's great.
that is on his side for
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
sure.
He
Time
needs
is
the
on his
time.
side in
He
that
needs the time.
situation
Yeah.
because
Can
since
you
we
imagine
logged
if he got into these title contention fights at 28? Like, what if he just took I mean, the
listen,
problem is you'd have to roll him slow as fuck to even get him to 28, but, like,
but
he's
at
not even
this
in his
rate,
prime. He's not
at
even in his
this
prime.
exactly. But at
At
this
this
rate,
rate, he could be fighting for a title at 26. That's crazy.
no, it may work out very well because since we logged off, they announced Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title.
Mhm.
That means Islam Makhachev has vacated his belt
Right.
and almost all but certainly will be moving up to 170 to fight Jack Del Maddalena. You don't vacate a belt to not then fight for another belt in another division.
Right.
Like exactly what we're seeing with Topuria. Islam Makhachev fights once a year. It's
Mhm.
like I can almost book out the welterweight division through 2027 right now.
Yeah.
It's you got Islam fighting Jack later this year, date TBD, let's say September. Um, let's say Islam Makhachev wins. You've got Islam Makhachev fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov when he returns from injury in 2026, in late 2026, and then we're in late 2027. And at that point, Michael Morales is 27 or 28.
Right. Yeah,
Like
possibly. Yeah.
that is where my problem with Islam
But
Makhachev moving up stemmed
it
from.
would be so I'm not ignoring what you just said, I'm just finishing my thought so I don't
No,
forget
of
it.
course.
I cannot imagine what it must feel like to be 25 and that fucking good
That's how I used to feel
and
2
have
years ago when I walked into the bar. I was like it's funny you say that, I know exactly how it feels.
Yeah, exactly. To be that good, fighting at that high of a level and knowing that like you're only getting better every single time you get in there. And then knowing that people are slowing you down. Like it's like you're a horse and they're just pulling on the reins and you just want to fucking run. But because you're beating people quickly and impressively. It's just such a fascinating thing. And he seems to really, again, probably credit to his mom, like to really have his wits about him. You know what I mean? He seems to be very mature at his age
And
and
grounded.
he's
Like, just a
super
good head on his
grounded.
shoulders.
He's never too up, he's never too down. He doesn't seem to be excited. He's really intense in person. But I just it's so impressive.
I just wanna throw something at you because he was
She
on
said that's how I was when I was 25
no, it's
walking into a
it's
bar.
exactly, at Dublin Deck, because
From now on, I'm calling you Michael Morales.
Michael Morales was on Ariel Helwani today, and he said that he wants to fight Ian Machado Garry a little bit later this year. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, love the fight. Hate the timing of it.
You can't
That's
really
what
go wrong at welterweight right now.
I know that's the problem though. Like, if you beat Ian Garry, there's no. I'm talking at. I guess I need to clarify where I'm speaking from this. Like, what position I'm keeping here. Like, from a promotional standpoint, book that shit for
Mhm.
sure. Quick, fast, and in a fucking hurry.
Yep.
Because now he's created a problem for all the welterweights. So I talked last week. Like, let's go Ian Garry, Sean Brady. Let's go. Like I had all these ideas and he just fucked them all up. Because now promotionally, book him with any one of those dudes. Put him with Ian Garry. That sells. Everyone wants to see that shit.
Well,
But
it's almost the same build as the Prates Ian Garry fight, but that's where it could get
similar,
dangerous.
similar. So I'm not I'm so promotionally do that shit for sure. In terms of his money making ability and his star, do all of those things. But I'm like speaking at this from like if I was his friend, or if I was his manager, or if I was his coach, like time is on your side right now.
Mhm.
Like when you're speaking about me and Gilbert Burns, and like when I talk about Blaine, time is not on our side.
Sure.
We've got to get him in, and then we can't fuck around. Once we get Blaine in, we got to fly because he's 33 years old.
Right.
We only got to cut. He's not taken a lot of damage and hasn't been doing this for 20 years or something. But so we got a couple years. We got like 2, 3, 4 good years in Blaine, but we don't have time to like slow roll him. Like we get in and we got to get the biggest fights possible as quickly as possible. So that's different. If you're Michael Morales' coach, like if I'm his coach, I'm saying we have plenty of time. Let's continue to progress in the way that we have been as quickly as we have been over the next 3 or 4 fights. And then let's see where we are. And let's just keep fighting guys that are good, that are up and comers, that are going to test us. Like let's fight a guy that's a great jiu-jitsu guy, that's a great wrestler, and see what happens there. Let's fight a guy that's maybe more of a kicker. Like let's just continue to fight these up and comers and these really, really tough guys. And eventually you're going to find yourself in a position where you're fighting, you only are going to be allowed to fight people that can defend themselves. Like it's going to be it's not going to be safe for other people. Once you're at that spot, fuck it, let's run it. But right now, if he beats one of those top guys, it's this old street racing comment, like run what you brung, because once you're at that level, you have no more time to build your skills anymore. Because you're only working on the best things, because you need those things to beat those guys.
That's the only part that gives me a little bit of concern, because time is on his side in terms of quite literally being standing across from the champion in an octagon, because there's a couple of guys who are already right there and don't need to fight again. Like an Ian Garry doesn't need to fight again, but he will probably have to. Sean Brady doesn't need to fight again, but he'll probably have to. You've got Shavkat Rakhmonov waiting for when he comes back from injury. Like you've got a lot of guys right there already.
Probably have to.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, he'll probably have
But it's like Michael Morales will probably be at the number 8 spot in the rankings come tomorrow. That's where Gilbert Burns was. It is a meat grinder from there, 7 through 1. And Gilbert Burns included, who he just fought. Like there's no more, and Gilbert Burns wasn't this either, but there's no more developmental fights. These are absolute killers from here on out.
I know.
And you've got to hope you beat them all.
Fuck, if I'm his coach, I'm like, yeah, let's give number 9, 10, and 11 a shot.
I think right now, because
there's a lot, like you keep saying, like, and you're right, there's a logjam at the top.
Yeah.
So you just fucking lay waste to everybody around you and below you. And then let them boys figure that shit out. Because at some point, Ian Garry is probably going to fight Sean Brady. I don't know that to be fact, but if I'm guessing.
That's the only fight I need to see. If they're going to have to fight again, they may as well fight each other, establish a number 1 contender.
But that means one of them guys are going to take a loss.
Of course.
So now, like, if you're Michael Morales, that guy took a loss. You can fight 9, beat him. Now you've continued your win streak and won. He's lost. Now he's got to find someone else that lost. So then Usman fights Buckley. One of those two's got to lose. Chances are, whoever loses that's going to have to fight the loser. Like if Buckley loses, he's going to have to fight the loser of Brady and Ian Garry.
Yeah.
So like now,
but if Buckley wins and wins in exciting fashion, he puts himself in the title mix. Like,
it's a great problem to have, and I like it. It's fun to talk about.
Why? What makes it great, though? I need to know.
I think what I just figured out is I think a lot of times when you folks at home that are listening right now are looking at these things, you're looking at it from a promotional standpoint and a fan standpoint, and what you think the UFC should do or would do. And I rarely look at it from that lens. I think the holdup I think the discourse that happens between you guys at home and me sitting here is I've been in those guys' seats before. And so I look at this from what would my coaches want or do? What would my manager and my agent want and do? And then I look at it, if I was their friend, what would I want? So of course, everybody wants to see Ilia fight Islam. I get it. I do too. I'd love to see that fight. But you got to remember, I'm looking at this like, if I was Islam's friend, what would I want him to do? Well, he clearly wants to solidify his legacy. He wants multiple belts. He wants to do hard things. He wants to, at some point, he's going to not want to cut to 155 pounds anymore, because that motherfucker's like my size. He's fucking big. So he's not that young. He's got a lot of miles. The weight cuts are probably hurting him. And if I was his friend, I would want what he wants. And I think that's where I get stuck. He wants to move up. So I kind of want it. I want it for him. And I want to see him challenged. I want to see him in there with a bigger dude that he can't take down just at will. You know what I mean?
No, I completely understand that, and I respect Islam Makhachev for wanting to,
No,
cement
you
his
said he was
legacy.
afraid that he was running from
I
Ilia.
never said he was afraid.
That's
I
what you
just said
said.
there are fights to be made at
No,
155,
you said it. I'm
or
going to go back and look. You said he's afraid. I heard
the
it.
word afraid has never come out of my
Yeah,
mouth,
that's kind of what
considering
you
I've never
said.
been punched in the face before.
That's kind of what you said.
I didn't say that.
And saying that kind of stuff is why they talk about you in the comments the way they do.
My final piece on this is that Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria should be banned from tweeting each other and having any discourse if they're not going to fight, and clearly they're not going to, so I don't want to see it.
Maybe Topuria will go to 70.
I mean, he was huge for 45.
Wouldn't that be hardcore if he
That
just
would be
faces him
wild.
to 70?
Well, because I think once Makhachev gets the taste of not having to cut,
He's
he
not
ain't
coming
going
back. Yeah, he's not coming back.
Absolutely not. So I just think that fight's never going to happen. So
And
stop.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it
I'm
because
not.
he said he wanted to, like, we've known this, that blame this on Bilal. If Bilal won, that's the fight we're getting. Everyone's acting like Islam made this decision. We all knew that if Bilal lost, he was going to 170. We just didn't know for the longest time that Ilia was leaving 45. So really, it's no surprise that he's going to 170 with Bilal losing. If everyone's mad about it, be mad at Bilal.
Enough people are mad at Bilal. Last week it was nobody be mad at Bilal, and now you're going to have everyone shit on him?
At least I'm giving you a legitimate reason to be mad at Bilal. Don't be mad at Bilal. Has done everything that he's supposed to do. You got two. This is actually a great point that RJ Clifford makes a lot when it comes to Bilal. You have two jobs as a fighter: is to win or be exciting. If Bilal's 99% of the time he's winning, anytime he hasn't won, he's been exciting as fuck. So he's doing his job. He's doing everything that he's being paid to do. And so I don't think anyone should be mad at Bilal for his style, be mad at his, if you're inclined to be mad at his stances and beliefs and worldviews, that's your business. That's up to you. If you want to be mad about him or mad at him about the things he says in the media, because maybe he's not the cookie cutter media darling, by all means, that's your right. But I do think it's hard to be mad at Bilal for winning. It seems a bit unfair. But you can be mad at him for missing out on the Ilia Topuria Islam Makhachev fight. That is his fault. And I love you, Bilal. Don't be mad at me. I'm just fucking with you.
All right. I think we've talked enough about the main event. We're about to bring in Coach Eric Nicksick. He had 3 guys on the card this weekend. I was saying, as he always does, he always averages somewhere between 2 and 6 fighters on the card.
Right.
He's one of my favorite coaches to hear from.
I just cut you off again. I'm trying to do a better job of not doing that, but I have the best Eric Nicksick story from this last weekend. I can't tell it.
Oh.
And I can't tell it. I can't.
That is a trait that could make me punch you right in your face.
And it actually has nothing to do with me. That's the craziest part.
We bring in a guy you probably see on your TVs every week because he is coaching just about everybody. The one and only Eric Nicksick. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Kelly. Good to see you.
Man, what a weekend of fights, right?
Yeah. Popped my blood pressure medicine before the first one. So.
Yeah. So before we get into any of those individual fights, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know how goddamn busy you are and you're all over the place, man. So I really appreciate your time.
Wait, what are you golfing now? What are we doing now?
I got a little bit of golf going on, man. I'm getting into this lawn mowing thing pretty heavy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm wearing the dad New Balances out there, getting those nice green stains on it. You know how it goes. What's the process look like when you got multiple guys on a card and you're trying to just manage that? Just generally, what's that look like?
I take a lot of inspiration off of guys in the military, and I try to prepare myself. We all need people to look up to, and how can we, get ideas and thoughts and tactics, and why not take it from the people that do it the best when it, involves life and death. I know that that's not what we do. But it does mean we should prepare that way, in my opinion. So, having friends that are tier 1 operators, guys that I get to look up to, I get to pick their brains on like con ops and how they prepare for whatever missions, and how do you delegate responsibilities? How do you allow everybody to have their input? And essentially something like that, what we did was we all sat down, the 3 of us, and then all the coaching staff. And then we just, as a team, we kind of went over, hey, who needs their hands wrapped by who wants their pads held by who? And we just had it all set up to where it wasn't like just like we're running around with our heads cut off, and everything becomes systematic. And we run that throughout the entire camp, maybe like 4 weeks outside of the fight. So your shakeout, your warm-ups before sparring all look the same in the back. If I can do it or so-and-so can do it. And then you kind of plan a contingency plan ahead. Like what happens if so-and-so is going to the hospital and this coach goes with them and things like that. So really, honestly, Anthony, it's just like you spend time with your team and your fighters, and everybody has an idea of what their responsibility is, and everything runs pretty smoothly from that point.
I feel so. Obviously, I've been at Extreme Couture. I see how you guys. I see how generally how the gym runs, right? And it's different than a lot of the other gyms I've ever been to. Like at Factory X, it seems like we were always kind of in the same system. Like Mark keeps everyone kind of in the same system, and for the most part, generally, like if me and Dustin Jacoby fight on the same card, like we're training partners anyways, and we're in there very intimately every single day, so nothing really changes for us. But you guys have such a wide group of people and kind of people from all over the place. Like I don't know if Myron Santos, Julian Arosa, and Matthias, like I don't know if they hang out. Mm-hmm. So like that's got to create a different type of dynamic, right?
It does, but what we do is we actually have a practice Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in the mornings. Right. And that practice is 99% of the guys that are in that practice are guys that I coach. So it gives us all time together, but we also lay out the game plan map for each individual fighter in the group chats. So all the other guys within the room know what we're looking to accomplish and the goals we're trying to set. So if Julian happened to be going with Dan Ige or Kai Kamaka, everyone's rowing the boat in the same direction as far as the game plan goes, or the look that we need or to help out. And bro, it's been so awesome because it's like, it feels like an entire team is like pushing you and helping you and preparing you to your best abilities, mimicking your fight or mimicking your opponent and things like that. So it really helps a ton when you have that like kind of small group, but also putting the information out there for the rest of the guys to understand what we're trying to accomplish.
What an amazing group of things to try to manage, though. I mean, that's just so many moving parts. I don't know that a lot of people understand the depth of what your job actually is. It's easy to see you on Saturday night when you're cornering and coaching, like, oh, they came up with a great game plan. But there's years and years and years that have gone into being able to get people to that point, which I think is, I just want to give you some shine on that, because you do a lot behind the scenes that I don't think a lot of people see.
No, I appreciate that, man. And the thing too, like you nailed on the head, is like the family side of things, right? Like we're doing so much just with our fighters alone, but we're also dads and we're also husbands. Yeah. Me and Coach Montoya talk about that all the time. It's just like you're given a glass that's full for the day, but you're trying to put water in all these other cups, but you're only given so much amount of time, So those things do become hard to juggle. But man, I remind myself every day, I'm not even joking. Every day I tell myself I have the best job in the world and I can't wait to get to work.
Which is such a crazy human trait that like you kind of have to, because you can get lost in that a little bit and forget how fortunate we are to live the life that we live. But another thing that I think is always so fascinating with guys like you is, so you go in, you have Matthias and Julian Arosa. Julian Arosa, first of all, if we can just say, can we keep this fucking kid off of Fight Night Apex shows?
Dude, why are we wild?
Why are we doing? Why is he ever making a walk in the fucking Apex? That's an arena type of dude. Any way you cut it, but either way, you get both of those guys, and they both fight. The 1 and 2, and but they take losses, right?
Sure.
Incredible fights. I thought he looked great versus Gabe Green. I feel like he got veteraned a little bit by a little more savvy guy. I don't think the better guy won. I think the more veteran, smarter guy won. Mm-hmm. But either way, they take losses, and then you still so Matthias loses, and then you got to regroup and come back to the locker room pumped, full of energy, back to have a great attitude, because you still have 2 guys left, and then you take another one, and you're like, I'm sure inside you're like, fuck, but you have to go back with not having that attitude. How do you reset that and fix the room, I suppose?
Man, like, like Mark and I, we both have that happen to us quite a bit where we have multiple fighters on, and we've talked about that before. And I think it also goes to the fact of even during a fight week, if you win, you're never too high and you're never too low, because you have to kind of counterbalance those emotions. And guys will feel that. Like, you would feel that if I came in and, oh, dude, he's pissed, and now that can affect your fight. And so when Julian won in Miami, I didn't want to be too high coming in the back for Dan's warm up, because that energy can excite him too much and zap his energy if I'm like bouncing around and super excited. So you kind of had to be calm going back into the locker room. And again, it's just reps. I think when you have a few guys that are on a card, you kind of learn how to manage your emotions as best as possible. But no, you're absolutely right, man. Like the Mateus loss, I told him, I'm like, bro, that's on me. Like, that's a situational awareness thing that I got to prepare you better for. Like, we've talked to him in those positions, but like my daughter plays flag football, and there's coaching elements that you got to remind kids, and that was his debut, and in that mindset, he's thinking, I got to get a finish, I want to win, but you and I both know that there's a calculation there, a calculated risk by going for a mounted triangle. And I'm like, oh man, I told him, I said, hey, that's on me, man. I should have prepared you better and got you to understand that. And I told him Dan Ige lost his first fight in the UFC and then won 6 in a row. So we're going to gear back up and get back in the room and fix those mistakes.
Yeah, that guy's got a ton of talent.
He's
like
mean.
And I always feel so bad for those guys, especially the young debuters, where guys like me and you, we look at it like that loss doesn't fucking matter. Like, nobody gives a fuck about that. Like, when he was walking out, I was looking at, I'm talking to Alan going, that kid's going to be good. Like, that's a problem. But in his head, the sky's falling. You know what I mean? Like, the world is ending. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish you could somehow inject some of that into him and be like, I need you to care, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's how we get you motivated and get you to the next level. Like, whatever you're feeling right now, you have to. But I wish you could just put a little bit of like how we see you or how you're being looked at from the outside. Like, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
It's really not that big of a deal, but
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard.
It is, especially at this young of age. And like, this kid's been training in our gym since he was 16 years old, so he's that walk, I think, was so important for all of us, like just for the history of what we've all been through with him and together. So, but again, it's not the end of his story. It's just the beginning, like you said, and it's up to us to right the ship and get him back where he needs to be.
What do you do with a guy like Julian Erosa, who, I mean, again, that guy belongs in big sold out arenas on main cards for the rest of his career, but he's got to be such a unique individual to coach, because the thing that makes him so exciting has got to make you want to pull your hair out as a coach, but also he needs that. It seems like he can't fight without it. Like, I don't. It seems like at the beginning of that fight, he was trying to be super technical and maybe trying all the things that he's supposed to be doing, and then he gets hurt early, kind of just throws that bucket out the window and says, "Fuck it." How do you manage guys like that, where like there's that element of like fucking psychopath and just like he's sick, he's something wrong with him, but also add skills that can help him, but then mesh those together? How do you deal with that fucking problem?
Oh my God, bro. Like, I wish you guys can see, like, when Eddie and I just work with this dude constantly, just picking your hands up, right? Just like, let's just block a fucking punch, we'll work on shit all camp long, and then the bell will ring, and I swear, hand to God, Eddie will look at me and he's like, fuck a game plan, huh? Like, like, dude, at one point, like in this fight, like all three of us, myself, Adam, and Eddie, we just all kind of looked at each other and we're just like, fuck it, dude. Just send it, kid.
Send it.
Like, you're not gonna do shit. We're gonna say, we're just screaming at this point for no reason at all. So it's like, fuck it, bro, just send it. But yeah, like he broke his orbital, I think, right after the end of the first round. He didn't want to say anything in the corner. But he's like, dude, I couldn't see shit, so I was just fucking winging him. Like, yeah, I could tell, bud.
Yeah, we seen it. We've seen it.
Pal. So,
I bet he looks clean as shit in the gym though, because you can tell he's got it.
Yeah, he does, man. And I'll tell you what, like we have such a stable of 145ers in the room, and they just push each other so hard. And in that camp, man, he looked amazing. I know we didn't have a much of a turnaround time. It was like, yo, you fought Elkins and we're back in the gym. And I kind of like that for him, to be honest with you, just because it gets you out of your own head, right? It's like I'm just gearing up again and getting back to battle. But that was a tough step up in competition, and we knew what we had in front of us. I think he was a little calculated in round one for a reason. I felt like our game plan was to wear on this guy and start to put the gas pedal down in 2 and 3, which we saw. I just wish we would have done a little bit sooner in round 2.
Right. Yeah, that Melky kid's real tough, man.
Tough.
That kid's really tough. He's going to be good too. I was real impressed with Myron Santos, like
smooth,
and how he looked at 55. Like that boy was thick.
Yeah, peanut butter.
Yeah, he looks big at 55, man.
Yeah.
What'd you make kind of his performance? He seemed to he's got an odd style. Not necessarily like in the techniques and the things that he's doing in there, but in his approach, maybe he fights much more mature than you would suspect.
Yeah, he's very creative with his striking. He kind of reminds me in a lot of ways. Like, remember how Krause would always like have a feint to a throw, like you look down, look up. But he kind of has that movement to him. But he's very smart and calculated in understanding his data. So like we'll go through a sequence of things and we'll start off with simple. We'll just throw a teep kick and we'll collect data on the defense of the teep. Okay, this guy's going to rear hand parry that teep, or his hand comes down. We'll show teep. We'll go to the cross. We'll do this. Okay, now he's thinking this. So the continuous add-ons, he's just very good at like identify them, but it's selling the feints and then going to something different every time. We were doing a lot of rear hand occupies because we wanted to make Sadiq block that kick just to occupy the power. So he would kick that hand and then maybe would start adding stuff up because we knew that he had to use 2 hands to block the kick, Right. But he's just very smart and calculated, and I was very happy with this performance. I felt like he got those jitters out. He's fought in the Apex many a times because of the Ultimate Fighter, so it was like a home game for him. So I was actually excited about that. I wouldn't say he was nervous in the T-Mobile fight, and maybe he was, but I just felt like the home game atmosphere in the Apex really suited him well in this fight.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see how that goes. Just to see how his career kind of pans out. He's a huge prospect.
I agree.
So you got Patchy Mix is at Extreme Couture, right? I don't know if that's one of your guys specifically, but he's at the gym, man. I had a conversation with him at a High Rollers event, probably, man, it was way pre-COVID, so maybe 2018, 2019. And I've known Patchy kind of from the jiu-jitsu scene for a long time. He's just always kind of been a monster there, but I liked his attitude and kind of his personality. Just, I'm going to be in the world. Of course I'm going to be a world champion. I'm going to be in the UFC one day. And then he signs with Bellator, which I remember thinking when he got signed, like, damn, that's too bad, man. I wish he was kind of over here with us, but he ends up here anyways. What's he look like in the gym in terms, because there's so many high level guys there. Like, he seems to be probably at the top of that heap, I would imagine.
Man, like this guy, he's been a champion now for over 2 years, right? But his career was kind of in limbo with the promotion. What I think is a testament to his character is that he's been in the gym every day, and not only making himself better, but he's an asset to the rest of the guys in the room. And I think that side of things is very important. When you have a skill set like Patchy Mix, and you're providing the atmosphere to help the other guys, whether it's the grappling or giving them a look, like he helps Manel all the time. He helps Kai Kamaka and Cody Stamen and all these other guys within the room. That just tells you more about the teammate that he is. And I think that side of things is important. But most, like, really, that allows him to be able to take this Mario Batista fight because he's been in the room and he's been training. What
do you think about that fight, just stylistically?
I think Patchy's a nightmare for a lot of guys stylistically. I really do, man. Like, and not to give training's training, but him and Merab train a ton together. And I've seen those rounds and I see how they go. But Merab is a gamer, so you can't take anything from what you see in the training room. I just know like what transpires. I know how good Patchy is my point. Right. And that's the world champion in the UFC. I think Merab is the best bantamweight in the world. Then we have other guys that Patchy just decimates, and that I get it. It's in the room and you can't take that, but it is a confidence boost when you're able to go in there and do the things you're able to do with the top fighters in the world.
Well, it's definitely a marker for a coach for sure. You got a great idea of kind of where he stands in the world. Honestly, man, I kind of want to just get your opinion on a couple general things before I get you out here. I know you got your practice and all that stuff. One of them's on kind of like, it's kind of the honesty versus ego conversation that maybe we've seen in coaching. I think I'm not talking about any specific person or situation, but like, I think you found yourself in scenarios where maybe you were too honest and people didn't like it.
Yeah.
I get in these situations all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Happens constantly where people are like, I can't believe you'd fucking say that. Like, it's true. Like, it's the truth. Maybe you don't like hearing it, but it's the truth. But you do see a lot of, I see an influx of like a lot of yes men, a lot of, I don't want to disrespect people by saying they're not coaches, but a lot of facilitators.
Trainers.
It's a lot of trainers, not a lot of coaches. That's a great way of putting it. I guess just kind of your stance and kind of where you stand in terms of your own morality and your own like stance on where we need to be with coaches and trainers and honesty versus people's ego and just looking to be the guy on the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me, man, like I learned a lot from that lesson in being outspoken about the Sean situation. The timing wasn't
wait,
right.
hold on. I want to cut you off really quick. Do you feel like you learned a lesson because it wasn't received well by him, or because of the private maybe part of it behind the scenes?
No, I think I don't regret anything. I regret the timing of it.
Right.
Because, backstory was like, I literally talked to Sean before I went and did the interview, and I didn't like the things that Sean had told me about where his head was at with the fight afterwards. And I was like, it kind of put me in a bad spot mentally. It's like, bro, like, why wouldn't you tell me these things prior and allow me to help you try to get out of those headspace scenarios? Right. What I would say I do regret is you know me well, Anthony, and like, my relationship with Sean, is that Sean and I have a trust for one another. I'm not a father figure to Sean, but I'm a brother figure to Sean. And what I do regret is I hope I never hurt his trust, right? Like, oh man, like he doesn't trust a lot of people, and that does bother me. Like I didn't want to violate his trust with me. A lot of things, the reasons why I said that was I did want to challenge him though. And the challenging side of things, I wanted him to identify what makes him tick now. If it's not to be a world champion, what motivates you? Is it money? Is it fame? Is it this? Is it that? Because you and I both know that every fighter goes through these evolutions and changes of their career. Mm-hmm. And there's guys that are just hell-bent on being world champions. They want to be the best at what they do. And a lot of them will never reach that full potential, but I do appreciate that mentality. Right? Now, if you're telling me, hey, man, I'm just going out to get a payday, I'm not going to coach you the same way I would for somebody else. That's all. That's all. And I know what I said was probably spun wrong. I know not everybody I coach is world champions, but I'll tell you what, Dan Ige, Kai, Brad, these guys have world champion mentality. Right. And I know Sean has that. He's been a world champion. I just want him to identify what his motives are today, this day. And maybe the platform that I did it on wasn't correct, but you and I both know, bro, what I was trying to get out of him was only to motivate him to find a new spark or find something to create to make yourself a better fighter, a better athlete, whatever it may be. And that's all the point I was trying to get across. I definitely don't regret it because a lot of good came out of it. I needed a, we got a lot of criticism from it. But the funny thing is, like, Sean and I are fine literally the next day. Like, we were actually like laughing about it, and people really took it out of control. But I get that. I understand that we were up for the scrutiny, and I should be for what I said.
What do you think when you're looking at other coaches and people in the other, like in other, I guess, trainers or facilitators, like where do you think all that came from? Because I feel like we've had a lot of coaches. I think MMA's been very lucky, like very much like football. There's been a lot of really, like every coach that I've had has, even guys that I don't train with now currently, I feel like I've taken something from them personally that I've carried with me moving forward. Whether that's even sessions with you, that's a session with a real coach that has a real mindfulness for what's going on in that fighter's head and then leaves them with something. And then the idea is that I take that and then I help my guys and we keep passing that thing on. But I don't feel like there's a lot of that happening right now.
The thing that I want people to understand is that everything that we say or I said in that moment was out of care, was out of love. Right. I have a saying that I love you too much to leave you the way that you are. Like, bro, I want people to tell me the real things and tell me, don't bullshit me. Like, I talk to you all the time. I talk to Dean Thomas all the time. And mainly because Dean's going to be real with me. He's not going to tell me what I want to hear. He's going to tell me what I need to hear. Right. And maybe the platform that I said what I said wasn't correct in that moment. But what I said was from the heart and was true. I want to see these guys be world champions. I want to see them realize their full potential and be the best that they can be. But when we start hiring people that are just taking paychecks and doing it because it's the cool thing to do, or they want a Reebok bag or whatever, that's just not for me, man. Like I want us to hunt for greatness every morning that we wake up. And not only do I want us to hunt for it, I want to surround myself with people that want that same mentality, because it's only going to keep making us all better in the room, you know? So, man, I think part of me too, definitely like from the football background, like our coaches were mean. They were tough, and they were tough on us for a reason. They were trying to get the best out of us. But maybe I used too much of a football tactic and an MMA side of things that I probably should have said it better and done it better. Or whatever, but
it is what it is. It is what it is. That's who
and
you are.
Fucking Sean.
Right.
Sean. Like,
right. The craziest part is where people are like, can you believe what he said about Sean Strickland? Like, are you fucking serious? Can you believe what Sean Strickland says most of the time?
All the time.
Like, he can take it. That's the thing about Sean. He can take it.
Yeah, bro.
If we're okay, so two last things. If you're playing, because I'm just genuinely curious about like your take on this. Over the weekend, when we're doing these shows, they're talking. We do a lot of breaking news stuff. So we use fight nights a lot of times, like the pre-show. If there's Dana drops a bunch of shit on us, we'll use the entire 30 minutes of the pre-show to kind of just break down and talk about the upcoming things and the breaking news. So, of course, we're talking this Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira, Islam moving up and going to fight for at 170. And I felt like the only one in the room that thought it was awesome. It seemed like everyone's so disappointed that we're not going to see Ilia versus Islam, almost like Islam is running from Ilia Topuria. And I just never looked at it like that. So now I'm curious, like, maybe I'm fucking crazy, but I felt like, of course, it's unfortunate that Bilal lost for a bunch of different reasons. I didn't really have a dog in that fight, but I felt like Bilal was just about to start getting the respect that he's been begging for, and then drops the title. So that sucks.
Yeah.
But I think I just like the whole part of it. So I guess I'm just curious on your take on it in terms of Islam moving up, Topuria fighting Charles, like that whole disaster kind of movement that happened. What do you think of all that?
I think it's a matter of circumstances, right? Like you said, like if Bilal would have won, Islam was going to stay down and defend the belt versus Topuria. Right. But I can't fault a guy for chasing greatness. He wants to move up and try to compete at a division above his and fight a guy in JDM who I was very, very impressed with, who's defended the belt numerous times at 155. I think he's earned that right and that opportunity. I don't agree with stripping him, though. I don't see that as a reason why to take a belt away from somebody when they've earned it. And hey, man, if he continues to stay active, then why strip him? I don't get that. In Topuria, he literally could have had the best run ever if he would have fought Islam and would have been able to beat him. He would have beaten three of the GOATs in a row. Like unbelievable.
Oh, I get why Topuria is pissed. I get every bit of that. And it's easy for Topuria to say, oh, he's running from me. Like, I also get the Islam stance though. Like, even without being able to take the 55 belt with him, being able to move up and not. And first of all, Islam's a fucking monster. He's huge. And not having to cut the weight, moving up, being able to say he was a champion in two different divisions is something that Khabib was never able to say. So it does somewhat feel like he's trying to step out of that shadow a little bit. Mm-hmm. But also he's fought he's been in double champion fights twice and never been allowed to be the one for the title. Mm-hmm. So like I guess I don't know. Seems like he should be able to do whatever the fuck he wanted.
I'm with you, man. And you're absolutely right. You're starting to get older in your career. The weight cuts take a toll on you. Why not? If anybody has the opportunity that you should give grace to in moving up in a division, it's Islam. And you're right. He's going to go up to a division and compete right away. And don't be surprised if this guy's a double champ. And that puts you in a fraternity of guys that Randy Couture's and the Conor McGregor's of the world that are double champions. Who else? Double champ, DC,
Amanda Nunes.
Very small group of people.
Henry Cejudo, and that's it. I think
that's it, right? Like a very small group of people, man. So I love that, and I think that's what we should be striving for is finding new ways to expand on your greatness.
Mm-hmm. No, I love it, man. I love the take too. All right, dude. Well, I'm gonna let you get out of here. Before I do, though, I don't want to dig in again. It's one of those things. I'm not trying to. It's no gotcha moments. I'm just genuinely curious. I see the the portrait behind you of Francis and just want to know, like, I guess it's just reaching out. We give a fuck. Have you talked to him?
Yeah.
Is he doing all right? That's all I care about. I don't need any details. I just want to make sure he's all right.
He's home. He just got back home. So showed up to my son's soccer game yesterday, kind of
Amazing.
unannounced, you know, and and Knox was just ecstatic. He hasn't seen Francis since November, you know, and a lot of people know the story, but like him and my son are like best friends. You know?
Right.
So he showed up to Knox's soccer game yesterday and hung out. He's back in the gym. We got some work in on Friday. He'll be in today. He'll get some work in. I think that's the thing too, man, that like I've noticed within tragedy for him when Kobe was, you know, unexpectedly passed away.
Right.
I talked to him about, I was like, bro, just come back and be around the team.
Yeah. He seems to run to the gym.
He does, man. And I think that's important. Yeah. And I think that's where we find ourselves.
What a great fucking trait.
Right. Like, dude, let's just get together and let's get our mind off of things and let's work. But let's be around people that are going to, you know, get your mind off of shit and make you feel a little bit better in that scenario. You know, when Kobe had passed away, we had a kind of an agreement. I was like, hey, if you're at home and you feel a certain way about things, don't even hesitate. Just come over to the house. And I said that to him, and I kid you not, man, it was about 2 or 3 times he would just text me, hey, I'm on my way. And I knew that he was hurting. We didn't have to talk about anything. It was just like just being with each other's presence, being around the family and hanging out. I think those sides of things are important. And, you know, obviously tragedy has struck again in unfortunate ways. And I haven't really spoken to him about what happened yet. But I know he's back home, and it's good to be back in the room and training and being around the guys again.
Good, man. Well, I know that a lot of us in the community are thinking about him, man. He's had a fucking tough run. So just wanted to check on him, man. I'm glad that he's close to you again. That makes a big difference, I think.
Appreciate that, brother.
I think a lot of people from the outside see it the same way. So, dude, plug your podcast really quick and then get out of here and go train some people.
We got the Versus Us podcast. We drop it every Tuesday. Me and my boy Randy Fayrich. You remember Randy?
Yeah.
You know, UFC social media guy. So
yep.
Great guy, man. I got to have you on next time you're in town too. I'd love to get you in the studio. So talk some story.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. All right, man. Well, you go create some monsters.
Appreciate
you,
brother.
I'll see you at the fight soon, man. I owe you
Always
a drink.
Good to see you. All right, brother. Talk to you soon.
All right, man.
Anthony, I absolutely love hearing from Eric Nicksick. Whenever, you know, I used to produce the MMA shows on Sirius XM. He was always one of my favorite guests. I was talking to him before you jumped on. I was like, I miss you. I don't get to talk to you anymore.
I love Eric. Of course I love Mark Montoya. That's, you know, he is like a father figure to me. And, you know, I just love everything about him and his family. He's great. But if I could look back and there's a few things that I wish I would have done, you know, there's always ways you could, you know, I would do this different. I would, you know, whatever. I would never change the Mark thing, but I would have added more Eric Nicksick for sure. I would have loved to have done more camps, you know, or more of my camps at Extreme Couture, not even because of the training partners or the guys or the structure, really just to spend more time, you know, listening to him and getting his philosophy and views on how the game is played. It's one thing that I'm really fortunate about with Dean, that I was able to, you know, spend so much of my time on the road with Dean and being able to pick his brain and him hold pads and just the way that we flow and train. Like, it's not a very impactful thing, you know, like, love Dean to death, but he's getting old on us. So like, it's not like him and I are just in there scrapping, but like, we're flowing in the clinch, and he's
just good vibes too.
Yeah, he's good vibes, and I learned a lot from him. So I wish I could have added guys like Nicksick. Is like Eric specifically one of those guys that I wish I could have spent more time with during my, you know, like my earlier, maybe like my prime, you know, like I wish I could have spent some more time with him in my prime.
That's fair. Before we get out of here, quick question. We have any injury update from you? I know when you first episode back from retirement, we talked about some lingering issues.
Did I talk about my nose?
You said you had to get your nose.
Did I give you like any updates on my nose or my neck or my knees?
No.
Oh, we're fucked. We're totally
nice.
Fucked. So I am going to have a nose surgery. So they sent me to like a real special ENT person. And she said, I know my limitations and I can't fix it. So yeah, that was great. So there's only actually 2 people in like anywhere around here, like anywhere close, like that I could travel to that can fix it, and it's actually a really specific person. It's a plastic surgeon that was an ENT surgeon first.
Okay.
So that's a very specific like type of doctor. Um, so we're working on that. I may have an opportunity to. There's one in Nashville. There's actually one here in Omaha, but they're booked out until like September. So I'm not necessarily like I'm having a really hard time breathing, and like I'm pretty heavy on nasal spray for sure. It's rough. So
I've got
um,
a dumb question for you.
go ahead.
Is there any like I don't even know how to word it, but is there any like time limitation on retirement to getting things handled that it's still kind of under the UFC wing?
Yeah, there is. So that's some of it.
Okay.
It's not like if I remember right on the acute stuff, I think like the like real bad injury stuff, I think it's 2 years.
Okay.
Um, and then there's some other stipulations and like contracts and stuff that stretch some of the stuff out further. But like the really impactful like acute stuff is 2 years. So I got time to do it for sure. But the rush on my nose is that I'm just so miserable. And it's not even just from this fight. This fight was funny enough is because was my last fight. It is just ironic, but it's always been messed up. Like I haven't been able to breathe real well out of the right side of my nose in years, like
Yeah.
10. But this last fight, I think I sat up one time and he just like kind of popped me with a little elbow, and it wasn't even that hard of a shot, but it like
It's like a cute little one.
yeah, it was just just a little thing right there. But like, if I look up and you shine like a light into my nose, the entire right side of my septum is collapsed, and that's new.
Damn.
My septum has been deviated a long time, but now that's why I need a plastic surgeon, because like the inside of my sinuses have been trashed for a long time from fighting. So a regular ENT surgeon that's worth a shit can fix all of that. But now that like the septum is like it's a 45, it's collapsed and just fractured. So
Yeah.
it's completely like fucking the whole right side of my nose up. So the plastic surgeon, because I'm half black, so I got this short little stubby nose, and um if just like someone who's not a plastic surgeon tries to fix all of that, my nose could just collapse and go flat to my face.
Hopefully you
So
don't end up on botched.
I know, right?
It'd be tough.
So I need someone that can do the inside and kind of the more like they're not going to change how my nose looks. I just need them to actually I need them to fix it without changing how my nose looks, to be
Got it.
fair. So um we're working on that. There's one in Nashville that I guess I can't say any names. Another fighter he has used. And then there's one in Vegas. So we're maybe looking at maybe I go work a show and then just stay 3 or 4 days and just get it fixed while I'm in Vegas. So which will
Smart.
kind of it's just trying to figure out like because my eyes are gonna be black, like both my eyes will be black, my nose will be jacked up. Like I'm gonna be down for a little bit. So trying to figure out like just aesthetically how I
Yeah.
slide.
When's the right time to do
Yeah, like
something
how do I
like that?
slide that into my schedule?
Right.
If I just worked a regular job and I could show up looking like shit, fine. But it's
Or
kind of
work
tough.
from home.
Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of tough to like jump on here and jump on, the ESPN desk with two black eyes and a big old patch on my nose.
if you
Um,
gotta wear sunglasses, I'll wear them too.
yeah, we'll just wear
Like,
some. See
whatever
on
you
here,
have to if you
on
have
here,
black eyes, I'll put makeup on under mine.
right? Just
I'll make you
perfect.
feel
Like no
comfortable.
matter what, we're gonna do this because I don't give a shit if I have black eyes on here. But I think ESPN cares about two black eyes on TV. So, um,
Maybe not their brand.
I have a knee appointment tomorrow. Um, I need knee replacements, to be honest with you.
Oof.
So we are going there's a lot of things you can do before you get to knee replacements. There's like gel, there's some stem cell stuff, there's a lot of other stuff. So tomorrow we're going to do some gel injections, will just give me some more cushion and make me a little more comfortable, and that should last a while, and we'll do that for a handful of years and see how we get. In my neck, I'm going to have surgery. So we went to like the kind of pre-op, figure out what that all looks like. They want to do another MRI just to get like maybe a less, because when I went recently, it was so like inflamed and just messed up that like
Yeah.
they just want to get a fresh one. And yeah, so I'm gonna do some disc replacements and some fusions and just get to a place where I can just be comfortable and healthy,
Damn.
So
You're gonna
the
come on this show looking like Regina George.
I know, with all the surgeries. See, I get a little bit of Botox. Listen, I haven't gone to Turkey to get my hair done yet. Okay, so like,
And you know what? I'm proud of you for standing tall on that because I just said this to somebody the other day.
I mean, I'm not
Everybody's
saying
going
I'm
to
not willing.
Turkey. No, don't. Come on.
Honestly,
That'd be
I've had
like
a
freaking GSP one
I've
day
had
showed up with a full head of hair.
I've had a lot of conversations with those people, and I don't know. I thought about it. I just think I would still wear my hair like it is now. So I
I
don't know that
also
it
feel
makes
like
any sense.
I'd be scared. I've known you what, like 6 years with this look?
Yeah, I just don't know that I would change my look. Like my hairline definitely sucks, but like
But then what's the point of doing it if you're not gonna change your look?
maybe just having the option, maybe. But again, it goes back to being on TV. When do I have a chance to be on TV and not look like shit for, like how long does that look bad? Like a year.
Yeah,
Like a
it's
lot of them look bad for a long time.
well,
And I'm
because you
and
have,
I've
like,
never
the
seen a
entire mapped out look of it for a long
right,
time with all of the, like, dots and
right. Like I'm
whatever.
not saying like Cody Brundish had me nervous. When Cody went to Turkey and got his done, and
Oh,
he
I didn't
came
know that.
back and I was like, "Oh God. Dude, what are you doing? This looks not good."
If you
It
said
looks
that, imagine how Amanda felt.
oh God, it looked bad. And he did his face too. So like Cody had like half of a beautiful beard, but like it would come in real white trash and Joe dirt in some places, and be real patchy. Now he's like I mean, it looks great
Looks
now.
great.
Yeah, his hair
It's
looks
the
great.
long game, those
It's
things.
the long game. Yeah, it's the like I don't have a year to look like absolute shit. I just don't. He had me so scared. I was like, "Bro, what did you do? Like, are these people? Do they know what they're doing? Did they like learn on YouTube and just try it out on you? Like, this looks fucking terrible." But like Francis got his hair done there, Cowboy got his hair done there, Code like everybody looks great now.
Yeah,
It's
but
I just don't have
if you play the long game, you're gonna have no job.
that's what I'm saying. I don't have the 6 or 7 months at a minimum to just look terrible. I just don't.
On top of all of the
What am I supposed
surgeries and things that are
Only Dean
happening.
can get away with wearing a hat at work. Like it just doesn't
Dean could get away with anything.
he gets away with anything. And he should. He deserves that. But with the other surgeries and all the other stuff, I just don't really have the time. So I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. But little Adley,
No.
um, she's been having again, I don't even know if people cared about listening to this, but you know what's my fucking show? I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah, and it's your kid.
Um, my 7-year-old, the wrestler, she's gonna be 8 next month, but we've had 5 or 6 nasal cauterizations where we have to go in and she actually has to get put under and they have to go in because she'll get a nosebleed for fucking hours and it won't stop and it will just bleed and gush and it's terrible. So we go in, we get it, we get it cauterized and then after a while it'll come back and it'll happen again. That's been happening since she was like 2 years old. The last 2 times we've been able to do like it's called silver nitrate. It's like they put this shit on a Q-tip and they numb her nasal cavity and then they stick it up there and they just burn those arteries or whatever it is that's bleeding. Like in the clinic and it's real painful. Here's a funny story. The first time she got it done, I took her in and we explained to her like we're gonna try to. She's 6. She just turned 6, and so the doctor said, "You think maybe we could do the silver nitrate in the clinic one time? That would save us putting her back under anesthesia, and it's like to be fair, it's way cheaper,
Yeah.
and we think that she's old enough that we could get her to do it." So I said, "Yeah, we'll try it." So we take her in there. And I explained to her, like, when we get there, this is what's going to happen. And she says, okay. So the doctor, he explains it. And he says, I'm not going to do anything without telling you. They put up this Q-tip and this like gauze with the numbing stuff on it, stick it up her nose, let it sit for 10 minutes. And he comes in, he says, are you ready? And she says, yeah. And she's pretty tough anyways. She says, yeah, I'm ready. So he gets like her head back and gets the Q-tip right when it's about to get in her nose. And she grabs his hand, like 2-on-1 his hand right before it gets to her face and goes, wait. And the doctor was like looking at me like kind of in a panic, like waiting for me to like console her. But I know that fucking kid because she hadn't said anything up to this point. There was no real nervousness. There was no like anything. I know my kid. So I like sit back and I go, what do you want? And she goes, I want a PS5. And I said, fine, you get a PS5. And then she kind of starts to let off of his hand a little bit and then stops him again. And she goes, and I go, what? I said, yes, you get the PS5. Now let him do it. And she goes, I want to pick it up on the way home. Can you have mama do a Target pickup? I said, are you fucking serious? And she said,
oh, she knew.
She looked away from the doctor, looked at me and said, yeah. And I said, fine. And she said, you're going to text mama? So I fucking get my phone and I said, I'm texting her now. Let him finish. And she put her hands down by her side, looked straight up. He fucking went in. She didn't even flinch. And I know that shit burns like a motherfucker because I've had it done. It burns so bad. And she like grabbed her nose and she went, okay, did you get it? And I said, it'll fucking be there when we get to Target. Chill out. I was like real proud, but it was just funny, the dynamic where the doctor was like looking at me, like waiting for me to be this like uplifting father. And I was like, what do you want?
Know.
I know what you want. You want something. I don't know what it is, but you fucking want something.
See?
So yeah. So I took her in last week do the same thing. And she was a thug about it. She sat back, they did it, no problem. She didn't ask for anything, but she's had at least 2 nosebleeds a day since then, and they're worse. So it means they got part of it, which kind of pushes all the blood to one side of that. So like it probably scabbed it, that peeled. She just, I don't know what it is. She got really vascular nasal cavities and they just bleed constantly. So we are going into surgery. I texted the doctor today and he said, we probably have to go in the OR and fix it. So she's in tomorrow. So I go to the doctor in the morning and she's getting surgery tomorrow afternoon.
Poor thing.
Well, yeah, by the time you folks are listening to this, she will already be in and out.
Good as new.
Good as new.
With her PS5 to recover with.
Yeah, she'll be thugging out on the PS5. Yeah, she'll be fine. So anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, and me and Kelly are gonna be done because we have rambled and fumbled on for a long time, and
we've talked so much shit about the welterweight division between the.
I know. I cannot believe all the shit you have talked about Islam Makhachev too. So we're gonna make sure we get some clips of that. I can't believe all the
shit you've talked about me squeezed into 2 episodes.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? As always, we appreciate you guys. Next week's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna drop our episode at the same time. We're gonna have some fun though. There's not a lot going on like this next week, so unless there's some crazy breaking news, it'll be less MMA related. So we're going to talk some current events. We'll do some questions for sure. So continue to send the questions in because we're going to get through a shit ton of them. I'm sure that those will branch off into their own conversations at times. But if you got any world events or anything you guys want to talk about, we can catch up on the Diddy stuff. Kelly's trying to get us all the way canceled. So if you got any topics you want to hear about, any questions, you can leave a comment. You can send a message to the social media. Kelly handles all of that, so she will be on it. Make sure you like, subscribe, share to your friends. And as always, we appreciate the shit out of you guys. And we'll see you next week. We partner with HomaFight Picks to get you the most accurate and well-researched fight predictions. They do all the legwork so you can focus on winning. Picks will be sent directly to your phone via text or email. It's totally up to you. The second we upload them. Use code Lionheart to get 7 free days at winnable.com/HOF picks. That's WINIBLE.com/HOF picks.
Smith.